Hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today. We are going to look into a quality manual. But what is that exactly? We are going to talk about the QSR definition, which is the quality system regulation as per the title 21 of the CFR part 820. So, in this document that each company needs to have, which is called the quality manual, we are going to define the company, the pharmaceutical company, the medical device company. And then we are going to document this quality manual because we're going to go over each and every department, each and every activity of the company, and then we are going to obviously implement it as well, so that when we are going to have any quality system inspection by FDA, by Health Canada, by again European Union or EMA, we will be able to obviously show this document that we have to update as well. This is why when you are going to go online and you have access to publicly available quality manuals such as for Sanofi, and of course, all of the pharmaceutical companies, they have their quality manuals. We see that they always make updates. And those updates, again, are important because we will always update, we always evolve. And those evolutions and those changes, they must obviously be reflected in the quality manual document. So now, I have to tell you now that we have 4, sometimes 5 levels of documentation levels. So we have, for example, level 1. Usually we call that level 1, which is the quality manual itself, the text or the document. Then we have level 2, where we are looking into procedures like standard operating procedures or SOPs. We may also have in level 3 or level 2 as well policies. These are internal regulations in any company. Then for the next level, I would call that level 3, we are going to have work instructions. What is that exactly? In an SOP, we are talking about the procedures to follow. We may have several procedures to follow, but you're not going to read or write all of those each and every individual procedures in the SOP. So we write about procedures in the SOP, such as, for example, doing an analytical test. And then when we write the working instructions, we are going to write instructions, so documents on different procedures that we wrote in an SOP. So you may have several procedures in an SOP. And now if you have, for example, 20 procedures in an SOP, we will need to write 20 work instructions. This is why we always have underneath each SOP or under the umbrella of each SOP several work instructions. This may now be, again, instructions on how to do a test, how to do the document management, how to back up some files, how to for example, prepare an audit checklist. These are the how, so these are the instructions. And of course, at the last level or level 4 here, we have records. Now what happens is that those records are always received all the time. We are receiving records from each and every activity in the pharmaceutical or the medical device companies, in any company. So those records, they must be prepared, received, and then archived. And obviously we are going to create reports in order to show that the company is doing its job based on the regulations in each country, and that this is documented. And don't forget that if it's not documented, it has not been done. So we need to document. So here we talk about level 4, again, for the records. And now we know that we have from the top, we have the quality manual, then we have the SOPs and the policies, then we have in the next level the work instructions, and on the last level we have the records that we have to keep, archive, and use for writing different reports that we will then obviously, based on the regulations, send to different regulatory authorities in the countries of which we are selling our products. So here what I'm showing you is again the quality manual document template. So this is a quality manual document template which is written based on the requirements of ISO 9001. Obviously, if you're having a company making medical devices, we will still use ISO 9001. We also use ISO 485, that's it. And then I'm also going to show you, obviously, a template for the quality manual for the medical devices. So now let's continue with what we have to add in a quality manual document. So let me go over the table of contents. This is where we start writing about the approval and the revision history of the document. As I mentioned, this document is evolving. So we are going to build a history. And we will need, obviously, that to put at the bottom or at the top of that document, the quality manual, to add the different versions and, of course, some major changes that have been made to the document. Now we are going to look into this template. Now, some of the sections may not be seen in the example that I'm going to show you. However, we have to have to meet minimum the requirements of ISO 9000. Now, if you would like to add some sections into your quality manual, you can do this, but you cannot remove the sections that are required by ISO 9000 or by, again, ISO 13485 for medical devices. So now when we continue, we are going to look into different points. For example, for point number 2, we talk about the quality manual. Then we have to write the terms and definitions. Again, you can always add the terms and definitions before about the quality manual. You can add it in another section. As long as you have the required sections in a document, you will again need to follow the SOP on how to write the quality manual in your company. And again, this is why you will not have the same format of writing the quality manual in each company. But we do have exactly the same sections required by ISO 9001. Now, when we continue, we will have the context of the organization. So we have to talk about the organization and its context, understanding the needs and expectations of interested parties, determining the scope of the quality management system, and then talking about this system that we have in place and its processes. Then we will need to have a section related to leadership. So we talk about the leadership, their commitment. We are going to talk about the fact that they are customer focused, that the leadership is writing policies, what is the list of those policies, and then they are fully involved, implicated in the organizational roles, responsibilities, and authorities. Another section that we have to add into the quality manual related to our company is about planning. So as you can see in point 6, we have, for example, sections related to the actions to address risks and opportunities. So here we talk about risk management, for example, actions. Then in another point is about quality objectives and planning to achieve them. Here we are looking into different plans or strategies in order to make sure that we are producing quality products. Now it could be through education, through equipment, through again having a quality assurance company that is looking into trends for the quality, trends for the equipment, trends for the number of accidents, for example. Here they are different indicators that I'm talking about that we call performance indicators. For example, if you're looking into tracking the number of back orders, this is again a performance indicator. If we are having too many back orders, it means that we are not performing well. So we will have to put in place some strategies in order to increase the performance and then to produce enough to be able to assure that our clients are going to receive enough products. Now, when we look into these different, I would say, indicators, we see that these are all performance indicators, and when we choose which performances we are looking at every year and how we are going to look at the trends, looking into issues, errors, or of course some accomplishments and achievements as well, and how we are going to continue to excel and of course to make sure that we give a quality product, we talk about key performance indicators or KPIs. So again, this is also part of the planning. Now, the other point, 6.3, is about planning of changes. Obviously, we have to evolve, the technology changes, the market needs change, the requirements by the regulations are also changing. So we will have to have, again, a plan or a strategy for planning changes as well. Now, the other sections that we can see is about the support. So, as the other sections in the quality manual will be about the resources, then about the people, about the infrastructure, about the environment of the operation of processes. It could be monitoring and measuring resources. It's about competence, awareness, organizational knowledge, etc. Another section that we have also to address and to add into our quality manual is about the operation. So we are going to have a section about the operational planning and control, then requirements for products and services. We must have an activity which is an operation as well for communicating with customers, going over customers' satisfaction surveys, when customers are calling us or contacting us related to any type of errors or issues or deficiencies, for example. Not only we keep track of the complaints and we have to resolve them, at the same time we can also go over 5-minute survey in order to look into how our customers are satisfied with our operations. So we grab the data, we add the data into our database, and then it will allow us, as obviously, to look into the trends over years or over months related to the customer satisfaction level as well. So now you see in the quality manual, we define the leadership, we define the processes, we define our products, we also define I would say operations, and within the operations we have to have systems in place in order to look into the quality which is again that our products they have, in addition to of course the level of satisfaction as customers as well. Now we also have, like in point 8.3, design and development of products and services. This is again another operational task. Then we have control of externally provided processes, then the production and service provision, control of production and service provision, identification and traceability for any issue that we may have. Here we talk about root cause analysis, and we have to talk about the fact that our company has these procedures and the policy in order to receive complaints internally or externally related to the quality of our products. And then we are going to go through different procedures like root cause analysis, and then looking into corrective action and preventive actions. So each company needs to have these procedures and policies in place, and we need to add that information into the quality manual. And don't forget again that the quality manual will also be updated regularly. So now we have another very important, I would say, operation or task is the performance evaluation. This means that not only we are looking into our suppliers, we are conducting audits and inspections, that we are training our employees, that we have a management that is involved in fully into each and every day operations of the company. Not only we also have communications with our customers, but we also have to evaluate the performance, and this is where we look into KPI or key performance indicators. So when we look into the key performance indicators, we are looking into different indicators that a company is going to decide to monitor over 1 year, over each year. And when we look into the indicators, we have to set some metrics or measurements, so that, for example, if we are having a back order, we are looking into the total number of commands or orders, and then we are going to look into the percentage of the orders that have not been honored. So here we are going to have a percentage. It's a number that we can now use in our KPI. Another performance indicator may be the number of accidents. Another one may be the number of inspections, for example, by FDA or Health Canada or EMA. So these are all different indicators that each company, the management of a company, is going to decide to look at. And then we look into the data with measures, with numbers, and at the end of the fiscal year, or the end of, again, any period that will be also, written in this quality manual, we are going to look into how we are going. So looking into those indicators that will show our performance, and then based on the key performance indicators, the management is going to decide whether we need to buy equipments, repair equipments, looking into new technologies, looking into hiring more people, training more, or for example, starting or building a new department or different operational units. This is how we look into the KPI, and not just for observation, but looking at the KPI as a tool in order to make decisions, to make business decisions. So when we talk about the performance evaluation in point 9, we can now talk about, as already mentioned, about the surveys related to the customer satisfaction. We will also have a section on how the company is going to do the analysis of the, the data related to each, indicator for the performance, and how to evaluate it. We also have the plan or the strategy for internal audit, and obviously we need to have a management review as well. Now, this is why when we are having meetings, when we are conducting inspections, when we are updating policies, all of these different actions are going to be documented. Any meeting will have meeting minutes. Any decision is going to have some documentation. Any communication with the employees is going to have a memo, for example, and it's going also to be kept, because these are all proofs of the fact that we are, again, in full compliance with the QSR, and that we are, again, following the ISO 9000 or 9001 as well as, again, the FDA regulations, in order to stay in compliance with the laws and regulations. The last section of the quality manual is about the improvement. So here we talk about corrective actions and about preventive actions. So as you see in, again, point 10, we talk about improvement. In point 10.2, we have to talk about non-conformity or deficiencies and corrective actions, and this is done by having an SOP or different procedures for corrective actions and preventive actions. And obviously, we have something which is very important, which is in CGMP and GMP, which is called continuous or continual improvement. So the continuous improvement is not just, again, I would say repairing or replacing an equipment. It's going to be reviewing the entire process, again, and procedures, of course, involved in the production of a product. It's also related to the equipments where we have to repair them. It's also using new technologies. It's also training employees. This is mandatory that our employees, they are going to get trainings, and this is where we talk about corporate trainings, where employees are going to have at least one or two trainings, so corporate level trainings related to the tasks that they are doing or related to the company quality manual, I would say, requirements as well. So it's important that we look also closer into continuous or continual improvement. And again, coming back to employees, yes, obviously they need to have at least one or two trainings every year so that they can show that they are in full compliance with this requirement of GMP as well as ISO 9000. So here we are looking into the revision history and approval in this template. Obviously the template is empty, but this is a placeholder where we are going to put the revision history and approval. As we already looked into the table of contents, we will have several placeholders for different sections. So for section 1, we are going to welcome to our company, for example. Here we have to add a welcoming language. Then we have to talk in point 2 about the quality manual. So this is again a template that this again consulting company is again using in order to write the quality manuals for companies or for new companies. So here, for example, we can start by saying that this manual is prepared for the purpose of defining the company's interpretations of the ISO 9001. So we have to refer to ISO 9001. Now you may write this quality manual, but you can also refer to ISO 13485, for example, for medical devices. So we need to write and to refer to these international standards and, of course, regulations in this section. Of course, that the previous section is now followed by the terms and definitions section, where we have to use the general terminologies. We need to use risk-based thinking terminologies. We need to also use terminologies related to deficiencies or non-conforming products as well. Now, in the next section, we need to talk about the context of the organization. So we talk about the fact that our company has reviewed and analyzed key aspects of itself and its stakeholders to determine the strategic direction of the company. It's important that we write these statements. First of all, this is documenting the fact that a company is in full compliance with the regulations, okay, with the QSR regulations as well. This is why we write them. Even if we believe that it's already the case, we have to write these sentences as well. And obviously, we can now continue by talking about, for example, understanding the needs and expectations of interested parties. And then we can talk about how we are going to determine the scope of the quality management system. We explain our quality management system and what do we have. But first, we are going to write down, of course, that the quality again, management system is applicable to which sites that we have, because a company may have several sites. So here we can, for example, add different sites. You have 4 different sites here where this quality manual is applicable to. And of course, as you see, we add different, I would say, information, the address, the phone, the fax number, because still, for example, in Canada, we are still using the fax. FDA also, for some submissions, for example, we also still use the fax as well. Now, we can also add different clauses of ISO 9001. If not, we just leave it here. That's because sometimes all of the requirements of ISO 9001, as I already mentioned in the table of contents, may not apply. In this case, we will still write the quality manual, but we are going to write here in this section that there are exclusions, and we do not have 1 or 2 points that must also be covered as per ISO 9001 or now ISO 9000, and these are the followings. Okay. Then, if there is any, for example, exclusions related to any site, site 1, 2, 3, and 4, then we write it. For example, if in site 1 we do manufacturing, but in site number 4 we just do the administration, obviously, for example, we may not have the requirements for manufacturing or operational, I would say, activities in site 4, because it's just about paperwork and administration. This is why we write down in this section that, again, if all of the clauses of the ISO apply to all of the sites or not. It's just a level, another level of precision. Then in section 4.4, we talk about the quality management system and its processes. It is where we have to write the processes, and you may have hundreds of processes. For example, I remember that when I was inspecting the largest medical lab in Canada, they had about 28,000 standard operating procedures and working instructions. Obviously, the inspection or audit that I did take about 1 week, and it wasn't very easy to look into this, but again, it was much easier to review I would say, their processes, because I had also the list I had the quality manual document that they gave me, of course, just to consult, obviously, and it was much easier. So when you have a quality manual, it's also a document that will be used during the inspections and audits. So it's very important that we update this document, because as you see, if now you're having a new operational unit or a new production unit, you will have to come and update your processes and identify them in this section 4.4.1. Now, here, for example, you see for the process definitions, you have to write about the process. So what is the applicable inputs and outputs of the process? Who is the process owner? The who is not the name, is the job title that we always add. Then we have to write down about the applicable responsibilities and authorities of the job positions or titles. Then applicable risks and opportunities for each of the processes. Again, critical and supporting resources for those processes. Then we add the criteria and methods employed to ensure the effectiveness of the process. And we look into or talk about the quality objectives related to each process. Now, since we already talked about processes, in section 4.4.2, we are going to look into process controls and objectives. Obviously, each process has at least one objective established for it. So this is a statement of the intent of the process. So each objective is then supported by at least one metric or a measurement or a key performance indicator or KPI, which is then measured to determine the process ability to meet the quality objectives. Now you understand that for each process in a company, we need to have a metric, a measurement, so that we'll be able to measure the performance, and then we may or we may not take that performance into account as a key performance indicator. I saw companies where they had 10 key performance indicators. I also had companies, I inspected companies where they had about 40, 45 key performance indicators as well. So it will depend on companies as well. Now, we continue with, again, writing this section 4.4.2 related to the process control objectives by talking about the fact that throughout the year, the metrics or measurements data are measured and gathered by process owners or other assigned managers in order to present the data to the senior management or the upper management team. Then the data is then analyzed by the team in order that the team may set goals and make adjustments for the purposes of long-term continuous or continual improvement. So this is how we write this section in the quality manual. It means also that we need to have SOPs on measuring the performance of each indicator or performance indicator. Now, related to section 4.4.3 about outsourced processes, here we have to write the following. Any process performed by a third party is considered an outsourced process and must be controlled as well. This is why we share our operation procedures or SOPs, and we also share our policies with external partners as well. And external partners also, they share with us their SOPs, because we have to make sure that, again, both parties are in full compliance with CGMP or with the GMP. Now, the type and extent of control to be applied to the outsourced process take into considerations, and they are the following. So the potential impact of the outsourced process on the company's capability to provide product that conforms to the requirements, then the degree to which the control for the process is shared, and then the capacity of achieving the necessary control through the purchasing contract requirements. Now you see very well now that in the quality manual, we are also not only talking about the company, about the operations, but we also talk about the procedures. We are talking about the fact that for each of these procedures, in order to make sure that we are following up with our key performance indicators to keep the quality for our products, we document everything. We also share these with again, when outsourcing. We also have suppliers, but it means that we also communicate not only with suppliers, but also with our employees, but also with, again, regulatory authorities, but also with the population or our clients as well. The next section is about leadership. So for the leadership, obviously, we need to have committed leadership. First of all, we need to document the fact that we have a leadership. We have to list their job positions and obviously, when applicable, their names. And then we will need, of course, to talk that these are that the senior management is doing what. And the what is that they provide evidence of their leadership. And they also provide evidence related to their commitment to the development and implementation of management systems and continually improving its effectiveness. Now, how we write that, again, here I just added that into this template. And again, these are just a few examples of showing that the management is involved in the continuous improvement. One of them is taking accountability of the effectiveness of the management system, ensuring that the quality policy and quality objectives are established, so the management, upper management, writes those policies. We need to have the documented proof that they exist and they are obviously reviewed. Ensuring the integration of the management system requirements into the organizations or other business process as deemed appropriate. And then promoting awareness of the process approach, awareness by, of course, employees. and then ensuring that the resources needed for the management system are available, communicating the importance of effective quality management and of conforming to the management system requirements. Now, I'm not going to read each and every of these points, but what you need to understand is that we need to have documented proof of the involvement and commitment of the management. So here we write down all of the tasks or all of the jobs that upper management is doing, and obviously for each of those we need to have documented proof that yes, they are committed, they are involved, and of course they are doing the best they can in order to keep the quality of the products always high. Another section which is important in quality manual is that the upper management must be monitoring, of course, through the quality management system, the customer satisfaction level. So here, we are not saying that upper management is going to make surveys. We ask for different questions through the surveys as well, through the phone conversations or email communications with customers. We have, again, internal and external, again, parties. Internal, these are employees who are working, who may find some issues, some errors, some discrepancies, some deficiencies. They have to, of course, let the QA know, quality assurance. We also have customers who will do the same. We also have regulatory authorities that come and they are going to do the inspections. We also hire third-party auditors in order to come and to look into again, I would say the performance of the company. So these are all customers, and they all need that the upper management, again, have a focus on those different, I would say, evaluations of their performance that they can get like survey results from different internal and external stakeholders. Now, what we write in customer focus section is that this is accomplished by assuring that customer and applicable statutory and regulatory requirements are determined, understood, and consistently met. Again, how we know that they are met is by looking into making, of course, doing audits, but obviously looking into the number of complaints or deficiencies as well. And then by assuring the risks and opportunities that can affect conformity of products and services and the ability to enhance customer satisfaction are determined and addressed. And of course, by assuring the focus on enhancing customer satisfaction, it is maintained. Now, another section is about the policy. So in section 5.2 of this template of quality manual, we see that the senior management has to develop the quality policy. And of course, we are going to add this quality policy in this section. Again, this is of course highlighted in yellow. Another section now is the organizational roles and responsibilities and authorities. So here we are going to write about what the senior management has done in order to assign responsibilities and authorities for all relevant roles in the company. So here we talk about the responsibilities, and we talk about on the right side about the assigned to which position title. Now let's talk about planning in the quality manual. So here we are talking about actions to address risks and opportunities. So we have to write the following statement where again we consider, or the company considers risks and opportunities when taking actions within the management system as well as when implementing or improving the management system. So likewise, these are considered relative to products and services. Risks and opportunities are identified as part of the context of the organizational exercise defined, and here we are going to add a procedure as well as throughout all other activities of the quality management system. So this is I would say usual normal content that we add into this section. Now in section 6.2, we have to write about the quality objectives and planning and how to achieve them. So here the management is going to write down about the policies, and then they say that there are process objectives that have been developed. So what are those so that we are going to achieve the quality objectives? These are the following. So these are the processes that are again added and company owns. One of them is to be consistent with the quality policy. Whatever we are looking at, the performance, they must be measurable. Now we also have to take into account applicable requirements. Those procedures must be relevant to conformity of products and services and to enhancement of customer satisfactions. And obviously, I'm going to invite you to read the remaining of these points. They are all points that must be reflected into this paragraph or section. Another point, of course, is about the planning of changes. So in the quality manual, we write that changes to the quality management system and its processes are carried out in a planned manner per the procedure. And here we are going to write down the procedure that the management wrote. Now for the remaining sections, we can talk about the section 7, about the resources. So here we write down about the fact that, again, the client name, us, of course, the company, determines and provides the resources needed to implement and maintain the management system and to enhance customer satisfaction. Now for the support, we have to write down about people, the people that we have in the company. We also need to talk about the infrastructure. So we are going to determine and provide and maintain the infrastructure needed to achieve conformity to product requirements. Now, those infrastructure include, as applicable to each site, for example, but the buildings, workspaces, associated facilities, process equipments, hardware, softwares, supporting services, and information and communication technology. And of course, we add at the end the equipment that must be obviously validated and calibrated when applicable per the procedures. And here we are going to add the names of the procedures. Now, when we are referring to those procedures in a quality manual document, obviously we have to add those procedures in an annex. Now, it can be in the same document, or we can prepare a quality manual package where we have the text that we are going over, in addition to all of the, again, policies, procedures that we are referring to in this text, but in separate documents. Now for the section 7.1.7, environment for the operation of processes. We write that that our client, to the company, provides a clean, safe, and well-lit working environment. So here they manage the work environment needed to achieve conformity to product requirements, and there are specific environments requirements that are all going to, I would say, the conditions are going to be met. Then we have another section, section 7.1.5, monitoring and measuring resources. So here we talk about the fact that when equipment is used for critical measurement activities, such as inspection and testing, these shall be subject to control and either calibration or verification. And again, we refer to a procedure. So in a nutshell, you now see that we are looking in and out of the company. We look closely into all of the I would say the quality measures that they did put in place. We look into the inputs, the processes, and the outputs, and the control. And this is why we have to be very clear in this document, because again, any inspector or auditor, when they come to examine a system, a process, or a product in your company, they need to look into your quality manual as well. This is a need, it's an absolute need as per the regulations, to have a quality manual in each pharmaceutical or medical device company, in any company, again, producing the pharmaceutical products. Now, in section 715, we look into the monitoring, all of the activities that we are going to do, all of the, again, procedures that may apply. We look into organizational knowledge. So the company also needs to determine the knowledge necessary for the operation of its processes and to achieve conformity of products and services. So this is where the management is saying that they make sure that we have internal sources such as lessons learned, feedback from subject matter experts, and or intellectual properties. They also have corporate level trainings in the companies, and externally they have external sources such as standards, academia, conferences, and or information gathered from customers or suppliers. This is also important here to talk about maintenance of knowledge. This is why, again, all of the companies, they require that their employees, they are having trainings, regularly training, so that they are going to learn not only about what they do every day, but also about the regulations, about the processes, about inspections, about regulations where we are requirements for the quality. So it's important that now again, employees alone or employees, again, under the with the help of the company, they are going to get those types of learnings every year. Then we talk about the competence of the the members or the staff members in section 7.2. We also talk about the awareness of the personnel in section 7.3. So it's trainings and subsequent communications that ensure that the staff are aware of the quality policy and relevant quality objectives. And then they also have to contribute to effectiveness of the management system and the implication of not conforming with the management system requirements. Then in section 7.4, the senior management is going to talk about the communication, ensuring internal communication that take place regarding the effectiveness of the management system. So here, highlighted in yellow, you have again several of these communication methods, and of course we can modify or include other methods as well. Now in section 7.5, we are talking about document information. So the management system documentation includes both documents and records. And we keep both, we archive both. Now the extent of the management system documentation has been developed based on the following. Usually the size of the, the company, complexity and interaction of the process, risks and opportunities, and competence of the personnel. So this is, in a nutshell, what has to be added into this section in the quality manual. And obviously, we are going to refer to different, SOPs like control of documents or control of records, as you can see. And we are going to add them or at the end of the document or within the package, but we annex those as well. Now in section 8, which is related to the operations, we have to write the following. That the client, the pharmaceutical company, plans and develops the processes needed for realization of its products or services, plural because there will be several, planning of their services, realization is consistent with the requirements of the other processes of the management system. Now such planning considers the information related to the context of the organization, current resources and capabilities, as well as the product requirements. So here I'm inviting you, of course, to look into the planning that can be accomplished through several points. Again, this is the content that we adjust and we write in this section. And obviously, we continue to add or annex to this document different procedures or policies or working instructions if applicable. Now in section 8.2, we are going to add information related to the requirements for products and services. I already explained about the customer communication. So here we, in customer communication section, we write about the fact that what are the systems that have been implemented and how we handle the data, how we use the data. Then in section 8.2.2, we are talking about determining the requirements related to the products and services. So we are going to write the information about that as well. So I invite you again to read these points as well here. Then for section 8.2.3, we have to talk about the review of requirements related to products and services. So again, we write the following. Once requirements are captured, the company reviews the requirement prior to its commitment to supply the product or services. This review ensures that the company has the capability and capacity to, and of course you have several, I would say, points here, meet all requirements specified by the customer, meet any requirements not stated by the customer, meet all requirements determined necessary by, again, the company itself, meet all related statutory and regulatory requirements, and meet any contact or order requirements differing from those previously expressed. Perfect. So the following paragraphs again, which is related to the changes to requirements for products and services, to design and development of products and services, where you can see, this is in paragraph 8.3 or section 8.3, you can see that here we are talking about different processes, and we are giving again the characteristics of these processes, and obviously at the end of this section we are going to refer to annexed documents. In section 8.4, we have the control of externally provided processes, products and services. So here again, we are going to refer to supplier approval or inspection or audits, for example. We are talking about the fact that what we are purchasing is conform to specified purchase requirements. And again, we also have procedures in order to talk about the conformity to specified purchase requirements. So we write down what are the specifications, what you are expecting to receive, how to test them as well. So they are all different procedures and policies that are already in place, and we have to add again those policies and procedures as an annex into this document as well. Now in section 8.5, we have the production and service provision. Now we state that to control its provision of which products, the company considers as applicable the following. Now the availability of documents or records that define the characteristics of the product or products, as well as the results to be achieved, the availability and use of suitable monitoring and measuring resources, the implementation of monitoring and measurement activities, the use of suitable infrastructure environments, and of course I'm inviting you to read the remaining points. But overall, what we are saying here is that we are having the following procedures in place in order to control our production for its quality. Of course, if it's not in-house, this is what we write. If there are in-house special processes, I also added here the paragraph that has to be added into this quality manual. Then the next point is about identification and traceability. So here we are talking about procedures in place for the identification and traceability procedures. So we have different methods. We talk about root cause analysis as well, but again, it's not just root cause analysis. We may have several types of analyses that we use in order to perform a root cause analysis. We talk about different non-conformities. We talk about audits and inspections. So all of the tools and the procedures and the personnel, of course, that we have in order to perform this task. Now in section 853, we talk about property belonging to customers or external providers. So here we write about the fact that the company exercises care with customer or supplier property while it's under the organization's control or being used by the organization. So upon receipt, such property is identified, verified, protected, and safeguarded. So again, if it's applicable, we write this paragraph. But if not, as I already mentioned, some of these points may not be applicable to a specific site. This is why we had to add at the beginning of this quality manual document some clauses to say that some points are related to the activity of a site, or some points they are not related to the activity of a specific site. All of the sites are already stated on the top of this quality manual document. So after going over the 8.5.3 section, we go over the preservation sections, again, if applicable. Then we talk about the post-delivery activities, if applicable, of course, where we can now go over some activities that we may perform. And now some of those, of course, activities are stated here. So the company may consider statutory and regulatory requirements, or they will also consider the potential undesired consequences associated with its product, the nature, use, and intended lifetime of its product, customer requirements, and customer feedback. Now in section 856, control of changes, here we are going to add the paragraph related to the company that will review and control both planned and unplanned changes to processes to the extent necessary to ensure continuing conformity with all requirements. And then we are going to add different documents related to this task. The next section is about the release of products and services, where we are going to go over the fact that the company has, again, the criteria, or again, an acceptance criteria for the products that are defined, and based on those acceptance criteria, products are going to be released for being distributed. Now we also have the last section for subsection for the section 8, which is the control of non-conforming outputs. Here we have to state that the company ensures that some products or other process outputs that do not conform to their requirements are identified and controlled to prevent their unintended use or delivery. Then we are going to look into performance evaluation in section 9. So when we talk about section 9 and for the evaluation of the performance, we are going to talk about monitoring, measurements, analysis, and evaluation of each and every task that is being performed in the company. Now here, those tasks must be determined, and we have to look into what aspects of its quality management system must be monitored and measured. And then we have to establish methods to evaluate those, again, those aspects, of course, the metrics or the measurements that we get. Now we have another section, which is the customer satisfaction section 9.1.2, where here we are going to look into different methods for obtaining and using the information related to the customer satisfaction. That, of course, I'm inviting you to read these bullet points as well. Now, related to the section 913, analysis and evaluation, the client is going to state that it will, or the company is going to analyze and evaluate the data and information arising from monitoring and measurement in order to evaluate the conformity, the degree of customer satisfaction, the performance and effectiveness of their quality management system. And of course, if, again, their planning is done properly and effectively. They also look into effectiveness of actions taken to address risks and opportunities. They also look into the performance of external providers. And they look into their need for improvements to the quality management system. For continuing with this idea of analysis and evaluation, obviously, we have to look into the audits, as I already explained. For section 9.2 internal audit, we need to have a strategy for examining a process, a product, or a procedure. And this is why, like for any system, we have an input, a process, and an output, and we need to monitor those activities, and we need to examine those. That's why we call that an audit. So any company has to conduct internal audits at planned intervals to determine whether the management system conforms to contractual and regulatory requirements. So this is why we need to have a procedure that we may call internal auditing procedure. And obviously, we want that all of our employees, they have a training or a corporate level training on auditing and inspections, so that they understand the requirements by the auditors or inspectors, but also the procedures or how an inspection or an audit is taking place. So this training is, again, very important. It's extremely important for employees as well. So as I already stated, within the framework, I would say, of the continuous improvement, employees need to take several courses, usually, again, corporate level courses, where they are going to look into contents built by subject matter experts related specifically to a specific task or a responsibility. So one of the trainings, for example, is a corporate level training on internal audits. So audits and inspections, where employees will understand what are the regulations, where are those regulations, how they are related to the quality manual and what they do in their company, then how the audit or inspection is taking place, what are the risks, what are the benefits, obviously, and what are the lessons learned, and how to prepare for the audits and inspections. So this is one of the most important trainings that employees, they must have within the framework of their continuous improvement. Now for section 9.3, management review, the company has to state that it reviews the management system at planned intervals to ensure its continuing suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness. Now they have to talk about the review that will include assessing opportunities for improvement and the need for changes to the management system. And they have to add, of course, here the quality policy and the management review procedure. So again, this is a policy and the standard operating procedure that has to be added into this document. Now, the paragraph or section 10 related to the improvement, the company has to state that it uses the management system to improve its processes, products, and services. Don't forget again that this is exactly what we do when we are examining or auditing or inspecting a company. We look at the process, products, and procedures, or here, of course, services. Now, such improvements aim to address the needs and expectations of customers as well as other interested parties to the extent possible. So, improvement shall be driven by an analysis of data, and those data, where they are coming from, the key performance indicators. So the results are going to evaluate the conformity of products and services, and of course looking into the degree of customer satisfaction. We also look into performance and effectiveness of the management system. And of course, I'm inviting you to read the remaining points where we need to assess these indicators as well. So now let's talk about the section 10.2, non-conformity and corrective actions. We need to take corrective actions to eliminate the cause of deficiencies or non-conformities in order to prevent recurrence and, of course, prevent harm to our customers. So for this purpose, we also add an SOP that we already wrote. We have about the corrective and preventive actions, and if there is any policy related to that. I already talked about the continuous improvement. This is again the last section in a quality manual, where we can see that we have to make sure that the management employees, they are all being trained. We look into the improving the suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness of the quality management system, which goes beyond only training managers or the personnel or the staff. It's also looking into each and every operation taking place in a company. So in a nutshell, we went over the quality management system, I would say, and the manual, or we call that the quality manual today. We looked into each and every section, obviously, and we also looked into again the best way that we can write this the information. Okay, I was trying to go to the top of this document in order just to go over I would say what we learned today. Okay, so here I showed you a template that I use in order to write the quality manual for my clients. So these are pharmaceutical companies, these are medical device companies, cosmetics, any type of, I would say, any company where they are dealing with food and drugs and cosmetics, of course. And as per the, again, QSR, and obviously, again, other ICH guidelines, we must have a quality manual document in, again, our company. Now we deal with ISO 9001. We can also, of course, refer to ISO 13485 for medical devices. Very similar, not identical, but overall, these documents are documenting the fact that we have a management, that the management is involved in everyday operations, that we are communicating with the customers, internal and external, that we are having systems in place in order to manage the quality. We call those the system quality management system. We also write down about the inputs, the processes, the outputs, and the inspections or audits or the process controls as well. We refer to different policies, manuals, procedures, records as well. But the entire, I would say, heart and process of, or how a company is working is embedded, is added, is in writing in a quality manual document. So thank you so much for joining me for today's lecture. I hope that you enjoyed the content, and I hope that you're going to really use this template the best way you can, because as I already mentioned, each company needs to have a quality manual. Thank you so very much.